Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Christine Perakis on the line, and she is the CEO and founder over at Christine Perakis Global. Christine, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Adam. I'm happy to be here.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Christine Perakis Global and how you're helping your clients. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career as an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm the kind of person who needs to be drop-kicked through change. I went to law school, graduate school. I got all the paper and, was involved in a big New York law firm on the track for partnership. And I was literally in a car accident that stopped me from working for a couple of months. And it required that I do some soul searching. And I had been working day and night, and I lost my social activities. There were no friends around inviting me anywhere because I couldn't ever do anything. And I realized this was going to be the rest of my life, and for what? And I discovered in that timing my inner entrepreneur. And literally from that moment forward, I could never go back to, working in the big law firm. I needed to be expressing myself in a more creative and entrepreneurial way. And so that was the beginning of what became ultimately 10 businesses that I've started, grown, and expanded on my own and with partners, fast forwarding to my last one, which we grew from a 100% equity funded startup to a $10 million a year business in 4 years, and positioned it to double that in revenue in the 5th year. And I just wanted to be able to offer the kind of support that I think I felt I never had. I'm a lawyer, I'm a business advisor, a C-suite executive, a serial entrepreneur, and there I am sitting on top of my a burgeoning company, and it's growing so fast. We had a team of 160 people. That's a lot of growth to manage. And I think it's so important that when you're in that phase, that you get the support that you need from somebody who actually knows how to do it. The thing about advisors these days is that most people just haven't themselves built businesses. So how can they really advise, and how have they been in the trenches?
That's awesome. I love the story, and I love the, some people have learned by doing, just like you mentioned. That being said, there are some group of younger individuals also listening that, let's say they're just graduating college. Maybe they're just starting with their first entrepreneurial venture. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't go it alone. And again, I've learned these things the hard way. And, I, a couple of years ago, found myself alone, trapped in my shelter when the biggest storm to ever hit the Atlantic Basin came through my island nation, tore the roof off my house, and left me buried alive for 24 hours without hope of rescue, no way to contact anybody, and living in the aftermath without electricity, running water, telecoms, and I had no plan. So, I've worked with people who have launched businesses or growth initiatives without a business plan, and God bless them, it's worked out, because I only work with highly successful people, and they might stumble their way through to success if nothing really bad happens. But having a good plan and being able to execute on it really requires somebody who understands the landscape to help you build your roadmap for how you're going to get where you want to go. But most importantly, understanding why are you doing it? What are the core values that you're promoting here? What's the reason for your being that is going to sustain you in the hard times? Because it is a tough road to be an entrepreneur, and there are lean times, and you really, you got to wake up every day and keep going no matter what the results are. And, I can't tell you how many times me and my partners and my clients have been poised thinking they're going to land that financing and they're going to set sail, smooth waters with their business, and then something goes sideways. what's going to keep you going in those times. And having a good team, having great advisors, having a really solid, well thought out, very clearly defined roadmap for where you're going are some critical pieces to making, turning that into success.
That's awesome. I want to switch it up a bit, Christine. Let's get into, you hinted as to what you're doing now, but let's go a little bit further. Tell us more about Christine Perakis Global, please.
Well, at the highest levels, I'm helping startup and growth companies to really map out in a very detailed way their strategic plan to get not only into the next quarter or the next year or 3 to 5 years, but 10, 15, 20 years down the road. What is that big, hairy, audacious goal that is, very likely not going to work out? Maybe there's a 50 to 75% chance, but boy, if we, hit our nose to the grindstone and keep working at it and everybody's committed and we know why we're doing it, we might just get there. And so, it's the difference between writing a business plan or creating a mission statement and going on a mission. I love to take people on a mission, and I love to do it when we're pushing the envelope and we're going outside the comfort zones of the individuals to get to beyond that and create things beyond their imaginations. I've turned people into millionaires, and I'm talking bottom line cash in their pocket types of millionaires because of that unrelenting pursuit of success, and that's what I want for everybody. And again, if you don't go it alone, you've got a better chance of getting there. So that's the kind of work that I love to do. And I offer that in a few different ways.
That's awesome. And so I know this is going to change based off of client to client and business to business and what stage they're in, but I know you've worked with a lot of people also. So that being said, what are some of the common themes of mistakes that people are making in these growth stages?
Well, I'll say it again. The people who go it alone, people who don't, here's a critical one, I know you'll appreciate it, is that people who don't understand their cash positions and their financial structures, right? How many times do you come across business owners who don't know how to read financial statements, don't even know what the 3 most critical financial statements are for their business, how to evaluate their business from the numbers and be able to craft a plan to shore up, a solid foundation and the ability to grow. I've helped clients and my own partners bootstrap growth, with their own cash flow, and that takes that's a tightrope that you're, walking a wired tightrope, and you have to have a command of the numbers. And I'm sure you understand better than most that the whole story of the business is in the numbers. So you can't be afraid of it, and I'm like, I come from the law background, right, where a lot of lawyers are terrified of numbers, and I happen to be one who loves the numbers. It's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, and everything zeroes out, so it's got a balance. And, really understanding the position of the business, the relationships of the business to the past and where you're headed, and what your position is in terms of cash, because you can't go buy bread or gas with profit.
Well said. Well said. So that being said, Christine, there's some people listening right now that they're either driving in their car or they're in their office and they got that little thing going up the back of their neck. Like, is she talking directly to me right now? Like, that's what they're saying. You caught their attention. That being said, what are the type of clients you like working with, so that I know so that they know if they should give you a call, and if it makes sense for them to inquire more about Christine Perakis Global?
Well, I'll tell you, I can tell immediately if somebody is right for me because they're usually successful, they're driven, they're committed, and they're willing to do what it takes. Not everybody is, and I know that if somebody signs on with me, they have said yes to something, which is the end game that we're trying to get to before we've even started, because that's what I do, and I don't let anybody fall by the wayside. I've been a ski instructor, a sailing instructor. I've taught business planning and strategy online and to graduate students. And every time, we're facing like really life-threatening situations when it comes to, skiing or sailing. And in business, livelihoods are at stake. So we got to be willing to go out to that place that really scares us. But if we don't do it alone, then we're willing to keep going. And that's the kind of person that I want to be around. and help
Awesome.
and support.
That's perfect. So, Christine, if somebody is listening and they do fit that bill, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, I'd love them to check out my website at ChristinePerakisGlobal.com. And there they will see my first book, The Entrepreneur's Essential Roadmap. I've got my next book coming out in 2020, The Resilient Leader, which is about resilience and leadership strategies in a Category 5 world. And also my online business advisory is linked up there, thebusinessbreakthroughpro.com, which has a do-it-yourself online 24/7, 52-week e-learning system with chock full of strategies, tactics, and resources for the small business growth entrepreneur or startup that they can do themselves.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Christine, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing for your clients over at Christine Perakis Global. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Christine, thanks again for coming on the show.